Hey guys, welcome to lesson 4 where we're going to talk about the quadratic formula. This is the quadratic formula, and ideally you should memorize it, but it will be on the EOC reference sheet that you'll be given during the EOC and also on the unit test. So the first thing, notice like all these A, B's, and C's, this goes back, and we've kind of already talked about this already. When it's in standard form, those coefficients represent A, B, and C. Something else that you need to make sure of is that the equation is set equal to 0. So if it's not, that's the first thing that you need to do. Okay, so we're going to start off with the function. 3x squared minus 7 is equal to 2x. So as I said before, this needs to be set equal to 0. So my first job is subtracting that 2x over. So I'm going to get 3x squared, and I'm going to put it in standard form. So minus 2x minus 7 is equal to 0. Okay, so I'm going to grab the A, the B, and the C. And notice that I'm grabbing the signs as well. Okay, so 3, -2, and -7 are my A, B, and C. So that's how we're going to look at that. So once you have that, this negative B, this just means the opposite. So if you have like a negative number, so in this case we have a -2, so I'm going to put a +2 there. So don't overthink the negative, just think about it as opposite. Okay. So I'm going to put in my letters, and I'm not going to do this every time, like with this little setup, but it's just to kind of get you started. So let's see, -2 goes here, 3 goes here, and -7 goes here. So when we're multiplying, we're going to put those in parentheses, and the same here. Don't forget that negatives need hugs, and we're going to use that. Again, I'm going to multiply that and put that in parentheses. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, this is something that I personally do every time. This term right here will always be positive. So in my experience, it is best to go ahead and just find that number. So -2 squared is always going to be a positive number, and it's going to be a +4 in this case. So in my calculator, I'm going to put this in. And I'm not including the square root, just the numbers under the square root. So 4 minus 4 times 3 times -7. I'm going to really focus there. And again, if you put in the square root, you're going to get a yucky answer and it's not going to work. So just put in these numbers right there without the square root. Okay, and when you do that, you should get the square root of 88. And so I'm just going to go back to this function, and I'm just going to kind of clean it up some more. So I'm going to say x equals -2 plus or minus the square root of 88 all over, and I'm going to go ahead and multiply that together, 6. Okay, now I'm going to type in the square root of 88 in my calculator, and I get 2 square root of 22. Like that. And so that's as far as we're going to take that one. If I needed to find like an actual value of that, I would type in my calculator 2 equations. I would type in -2 plus 2 square root of 22, and then divide that by 6. And then I would also plug in -2 minus 2 square root of 22 all over 6. So this actually has, it actually represents a hideous number. It's just not very user-friendly. So let's go ahead and type that in and see what we get. Okay, so like for this first one, I get about 1.23, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here. I get about -1.8, well, I'm going to call it 90, like that. So these do represent, like, so like in word problems, we're going to have a word problem on a test. These do represent values. It's just kind of it's kind of difficult in your calculator to find those values, but that's what's going on. Okay, we're going to go on to problem number 1. And so again, we're going to like figure out what is A, what is B, what is C. So A is equal to 2, B is equal to 3, and C is equal to negative 11. And so I'm going to plug it in the formula, and I kind of have this set up for you. Negative B plus or minus square root, and then b squared. So I immediately, this is just me, I immediately just go ahead and square that, knowing that that is always going to be positive. So 9b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And this negative b, I'm going to change, so it's opposite of this, so I'm going to change this to a negative 3. Okay, from here, just a calculator thing. So I'm going to clean that up. That's a 4. That's easy. And then I'm going to type this into my calculator. So I'm going to say 9 minus 4 times 2 times negative 11, and I get 97. And I can't do anything else with this. And so that's as far as I can take that. If it asks for like a decimal equivalent, I would split it up into 2 pieces, but it's fine to keep it like that. Okay, let's keep going. So the first thing that I noticed about number 2 is that it's not set equal to 0. So I'm going to set it equal to 0. So I have 3x squared plus 5x minus 8 is equal to 0. So I have this is equal to A is equal to 3, B is equal to 5, and C is equal to negative 8. So I'm going to plug it in the formula. X equals negative B plus or minus square root B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Okay, so X equals opposite of B, so that's going to be a negative 5. And then 5 squared, that's going to be 25. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And then 2 times 3. Okay, and then from here, I'm just cleaning it up. So 25 minus 4 times 3 times negative 8. That is 121. And over that is 6. Okay, this one is different because when I type in 121 in my calculator, I get 11. So I can actually take this a lot farther than what I have been before. So I want to actually separate this into 2 pieces. So negative 5 plus 11 over 6, and then negative 5 minus 11 over 6. And I actually want an answer here. So negative 5 plus 11 is 6, and 6 divided by 6 is 1. So I have an answer of 1 here. Negative 5 minus 11, that is negative 16 over 6, and that's going to simplify out to negative 8, thirds. Okay, so when it's a nice number like this, you can actually factor it. So like if it ends up being like a nice fraction or a whole number, this is something that I could have factored. So what's nice about the quadratic formula is if you are not good at factoring and you're good at the quadratic formula, you can always kind of work backwards and find your answers, and then then kind of go through your factoring skills that way. Okay, finally, number 3. I'm going to move that x over and put it in standard form. So 2x squared minus x minus 7 is equal to 0. So I have a is equal to 2, b is equal to negative 1, and c is equal to negative 7. So I have, let's see, x is equal to negative b. So I'm going to look at this right here. That's going to be positive 1 plus or minus square root. B squared, remember, that's always positive, so 1 squared is 1, minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, and just like I did last time, I'm going to simplify it in my calculator. What's under the square root, not including the square root. Okay, and so when I put everything together, I get this, and I can't take it any further. But again, I just kind of want to practice. If I had to have it as a decimal, what would that look like? So I'm going to type in my calculator 1 plus square root of 57 divided by 4, and I'm going to get my answer and then divide it by 4. If you're not getting what I'm getting, that's probably what you're doing wrong. And so I get about 2.14. When I do that, then I'm going to take 1 minus square root of 57, get that answer, and then divide it by 4, and I end up getting negative 1.64. So think about this on a graph. It's doing something like this, and it's hitting it at 2.14 approximately and at negative 1.64. So that's kind of like the answers that it's giving me. Like for this one, for example, this one is hitting it at negative 8/3, and this one is hitting it at 1. So that's what you're finding there. Okay, the next thing I want to do is talk about the discriminant. The discriminant is actually part of the quadratic formula. It's going to be this part right here, and not including, again, not including the square root. So the discriminant is going to be b squared minus 4ac. I am not giving you the discriminant on the test. However, you will have this formula on the test. So as long as you know that you're just taking this piece of it, you should be good. Okay, so if this number is positive, you are going to have two real solutions. And what that means is just like this. Notice this was a positive 57, so it's going to hit the graph 2 times. So it's going to look something like this. It might look like that, but just notice that you're hitting it 2 times, either there or there. Okay, if it is a negative, you're going to have no real solutions. So what's going on with the graph here is it might look something like this or like this. So notice it doesn't have any x-intercept. So it's not going to cross the x-axis at all. Okay, and then finally, if this is a 0, you're going to have one solution. So what that looks like is it's just going to kiss the x-axis. So like right there, just barely touches it. And in that case, you're going to have, that's where your one solution is coming from. Okay, so let's pretend like we didn't have access to like a graphing calculator or Desmos or anything, so we couldn't see like what's going on here. Because if we can, then we automatically know how many solutions it has. But on this one, like we can't. We don't have Desmos, and so what I would do is I would set this equal to 0, so subtract that 2x over. And so then I'm going to do, well, let's go ahead. Let's see, a is 3, b is negative 2, c is negative 7. So I'm just going to do the b squared minus 4ac, no square root. So b squared, remember that's always positive, so that's 4 minus 4 times 3 times negative 7. So let's see. So we have 4 minus 4 times 3 times negative 7. That ends up being an 88. Okay, so this is called my discriminant. So I found the discriminant, and then it'll say, like, describe the number of solutions, and I'm going to say 2 real solutions. Yeah. Okay, let's do the next one. So if a is 2, b is negative 5, c is 6, I'm going to do, let's see, 25, right? B squared minus 4ac. So 25 minus 4 times 2 times 6 is negative 23. Okay, so this is my discriminant. And then it'll say, like, describe the number of type of solutions. So I'm going to say no real solutions. So both of these are going to be part of your answer. Okay, let's do one more. So a is equal to 1. B is equal to 10, C is equal to 25. So I'm going to have b squared 100 minus 4ac, and that is going to give me a 0. And 0 means one real solution. Okay, so we have talked about all the 3 ways that you need for Algebra 1 to solve a quadratic. So we started out with solving by factoring in another unit, and then we did solve by square roots, and then we did the quadratic formula. So really, these 2 have limitations. This one, if you're good at that, you can literally solve any quadratic by using the quadratic formula. So this is like a really good form to get good at.